We are back for another one. I got Mr. Garmin Guru with me.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
What up, homie? Mr. Michael Little.
What's that?
The founder of...
We didn't give him a fist.
That's right.
Founder of Life. Here we go. No, we were just talking about that last episode with Zach, getting on here with the dogs and tracking humans down. Have you listened to all of it yet?
Yes, I have. Yep,
Yeah.
pretty good.
That's legit.
It gave me chill bumps. I felt like I was in like NCIS
It was going all
episode.
over the place, too. I mean, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I mean, 200 yards, but a mile and a quarter. It was real.
Yeah.
It was cool.
I tell you what's going to be real. It's going to be cool. Is kind of the same concept when we talk about that, but with your boy.
Yeah, I had a guy, and he posted it on my page, and it was really lengthy, and I sent it to Richard, and I don't know if you've seen it.
I don't know.
Well, he took some of my settings and saw my page and went and bought, I think, 2 or 3 different live scopes. He made underwater like UAVs, and he's got floating UAVs, and he uses these to find lost cars, he's found people, cars, and he used all my settings to get it really dialed in. He's messaged me, and I've messaged him, and we've talked on the phone, and he's going to do a podcast with us talking about how he's using live scope. You hear a lot of negative, but this one right here is just like the dogs. He's I don't know how many people he's found now lately.
I read the screenshot of the email you sent.
Yeah.
It was several.
He's found several people trapped in cars, going off the edges, underwater.
Said he found like remains of people.
Yeah, it's really legit what he's using the live scope for, and he's using perspective, forward. I mean, he's using it all.
Yeah,
he's got
the whole
these
system.
you ought to see the pictures. He's got little floating things that he's got the live scopes made into that'll mark them, drop balloons that'll come. It's unreal.
Really?
He's got it going on, and he's going to come on and talk about that with us. I think that's going to be going to be legit.
Yeah, that's going to be a cool
That'll
one.
be a good one.
Yeah,
One thing that we talked about when we got this whole podcast, when we first started talking about this like a year and a half ago or whatever, like it took a while to get everything in the making, but one thing that we were all like is we don't want it to be just duck hunting, just fishing, just bow hunting, because like that's our big thing. Like I know even yours too, like fishing is your thing now, but like back in the old glory days, back in the Gav, you said like bow hunting, that was it, and
I loved it.
Yeah, but I mean that's if anybody knows Michael and Richard. I mean you have Jesus, and then he's if you're gonna say he's an archer, you have him, and then right up under that's gonna be Michael and Richard, and it's the same thing with me. Like that's if there's one thing that I'm going to do, it's even just sitting out in my yard shooting my bow or bow hunting. That's what it's going to be. And but with this, we did not want it to just be limited to just one topic. And so I like that we've talked about hunting and fishing and everything. Right. Dude, we've expanded with blood trailing dogs to human scent dogs to explosive dogs. We've kind of expanded to all of it. And then talking about this cat finding human remains and
it's unreal.
all this other lost stuff that the cops are trying to find and investigators.
Using
live scope
a little bit. We got some old school technology of the dogs. You can't beat that. And you got some new stuff. Yeah. I mean, I've told you forever. I used to come in there. I used to call it the barbershop.
Yeah.
Because you just go in there. You wouldn't buy nothing.
Yeah.
You just go in there and sit and talk.
Yeah.
And just sit there and shoot the breeze and talk about anything that come up.
Yeah.
Some solid lies.
Oh, absolutely.
Solid lies.
The worst thing in the world is when you got to go down there. Like if we have some business to handle, I'll go down there to talk with them. And if it's before they close, I'm just wasting my time. Because as soon as you start talking, especially with Richard, I wish he was here. He had other things to do, but I'll go and I'll be like, hey, Richard, him and Richard will get to talking about something. And dude, it'll be 3 minutes. Somebody's going to walk in. Well, it just shuts the show down. So me and Michael, we're just sitting there. We're just waiting. And
I got to ask you one question though.
Go ahead.
How many times do you hear, good for you, baby?
Good for you.
Good for you, baby.
I hear it every morning, every day around lunch, every afternoon.
Hey, good for you, baby.
Yeah. He literally said that just a bit ago. He called, and actually, I told him I was going to take a picture before we got started. Richard, when you're listening to this, just realize I forgot again to take you a picture, and I sent it to you.
Hey, look, I got to tell a funny story.
Go ahead.
I've been wanting to not tell it. I couldn't tell it. This is when we used to go in and talk all the time, and I followed Richard on Instagram. One morning he wasn't working, and he put on Instagram. Boy, he showed the shot. You know, he's sitting up the stand. You got the Hoyt. You know, it's your Hoyt moment, whatever. And he's sitting up there, and he big doe down.
Pictures to come.
Pictures to follow. We waited 2-3 days, and I was like, what happened to the pictures? is a button buck.
Nah.
He was so finna post a picture. That thing disappeared so quick too, and I've never forgot it. I never will, because he was so proud. He's
We
finna post
calling
them
you
pictures.
out, baby.
He's finna post them pictures, boy. He was so proud of that big doe.
Good for you, Buck. Good for you, baby.
He shot it, smoked that thing.
Well, dude, you just got back from Fork.
Yeah,
I'm talking about in the storm of all storms.
Yeah.
You were in it.
Here's the crazy thing. There was some wind, but it wasn't. It was so weird. The whole lake, it looked like lightning was everywhere. It did not rain a drop on us.
Really?
I watched the radar so heavy because you would see lightning approaching, then it just go around you. And I did this for Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. And then when it finally came in Saturday night, the very last cast, we finna go to the house. I mean, it's there. And I threw it under there and caught one almost 8 on a swim bait. And my fishing partner, my stepdad, he doesn't give up. I'm done. I'm done. And boy, he's ready to go back again. When I caught that, I was like, we can't, man. There's a monsoon coming. And it got rough.
Yeah, I imagine.
It got rough.
Were you pretty far run?
No, we like 6 yards from the boat ramp. we went very far, and then if my stepdad, I love him to death, but he cannot back up a boat. He can't back up a boat to save his life. Not a boat trailer.
You're talking about like can't back a boat trailer into the
No,
water,
he
like
can't
driving a
back
truck.
one. No, I'm sitting and watch storms coming, and he's backing, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm finna get soaked. And he comes on back, and I had told him, I said, look, when you see the fenders about half submerged, stop.
Yeah.
Well, he come back at an angle, and it's poked down. Well, this one over here is about 3 foot deep because it's at an angle. And he's like, I said half submerged. He said, it is. I said the other one's 4 foot underwater. And so you pulling your boat up, and it's trying to do that. Storms coming, winds blowing this way, and I'm like, and so we got back to the house, which is a half a mile away. Son, the bottom fell out. Son, I was doing some sleeping, boy. I was tired anyway from night fishing all night.
Yeah, you just about only fish night over there, don't you?
I'd rather fish nights almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Really?
I just think it's just like big bucks. When do you see 90% of your bucks?
Yeah, at night.
That's when they
On
move.
camera.
Yeah, on camera.
But it's the same way with bass. They are low light feeders. They feed in low light. Yeah, you catch them, but you really got to work on them in the daytime. The only time you really catch consistently big bass is spawn. The rut.
Yeah.
It's the time you catch them slipping. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, you're right at dark. I mean, I guess if you got some spots, but as a whole, they're low light movers or low light feeders, and that's what they do. That's what they do. But I will say, and this is what we're going to talk about in this episode, I think they've changed. I think it's changed. I can remember night fishing for years, and you did two things. You went down the bank with a spinnerbait, a black spinnerbait with a Colorado blade, or ridges or whatever you may fish, and you threw a black worm.
Yeah.
I ain't got a bite on a black spinnerbait or a black worm, and so I got them. I throw them. They just don't bite them. They don't bite them. Yeah. I don't know what that's from, but I have a theory. I think it's got a lot to do with green lights. You see a lot of green lights popping up.
I was about to say pressure, which that falls into that category.
I don't know if it's much pressure because I see less pressure now night fishing than I ever have.
Really?
It used to be, you probably remember, you would see some people on the lake. Mm-hmm. You can pick any lake you want to go to. You might see one truck, two trucks. It doesn't matter. Nobody goes at night. Nobody goes at night anymore. It's just not something that people do anymore. And I'm talking about have the whole lake to yourself. You can fish, go down the bank, come back, fish that, go down the bank, come back, fish. You ain't got to worry about somebody getting your spot.
Not after this podcast.
I don't know. I do it on my page all the time, and you think people would go do it. It's a different world at night.
Well, it's inconvenient too, though.
Yeah, and you break rods.
Yeah,
It's you fall. You're falling down all the time. You don't have a feel. You don't have a real good feel for what you're.
Your depth perception is probably off.
Yeah, it just nothing feels the same.
Yeah.
And you don't. I mean, you gotta. Like I set my boat up. So that's one of the things I do. I've got LED lights under the rub rail all around, and that keeps it lit up. They're green. And that's another thing. Mosquitoes tear you up.
Yeah.
You can't just use flashlights because you'll eat them. I mean, there's millions.
Yeah.
But the green lights don't seem to bother them.
Yeah.
And then I put green lights inside the boat. Like somewhere I'll have a couple of them just lighting the floor up where it's not too much, but you got to be able to see. But you got to be prepared for it. I've done it enough that if I told somebody to go night fishing, the first time they're going to be all over the place. You don't have a lot of room to tie knots. You just can't see. You need to have, if you're going to fish a swim bait, you need to have 2 of everything ready. Because
for when you break?
No, just because it's so hard to tie knots. It's so hard you need to be ready with backups.
Gotcha.
And that's where it can get tough and that's why most people don't do it. Because it's aggravating. I get aggravated. Lord, you don't want to put a camera on me at night. I'd be so aggravated because I'd have to talk to myself out there. Patience. Oh, stay patient. Stay patient.
Shoot, how many fish you catch over 5 that night?
I got 16 this last trip.
Over
I had
5.
1 4-pounder, 1 5, and the rest were over 6. I had an 8. I lost 2 10s. Broke them off. I mean, those legitimate 10s, maybe bigger, and legitimate.
And when are we going back?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Son, I can learn patience quick, baby, if you're doing that.
Here's where the problem comes in. I live scope a lot, and it's tough for the guy in the back of the boat. You know this.
Yeah.
It's tough for them to – I took a guy, and I wanted him to catch a fish, and I caught some big ones. And I'm lining him up, but it's very hard to line the guy at the back. And then if they want to come to the front, I ain't wearing that. That's an earring.
Yeah.
You're this heavy.
Yeah.
And if you're not used to casting it or throwing it, you will put that in somebody's ear, eye, back. You can't wear sunglasses at night, so you get hit in the eyes, you're done.
Yeah.
It's a different world. So there's some different things that I do. You've been doing some different stuff with livescope. You've been using
I'm still learning.
You've been using perspective mode a lot to fish for bedded fish.
That's right.
And you've been doing pretty good with it too, learning about it.
I'm starting to learn a little bit.
Are you?
Yeah.
So that's. I don't use the perspective mode when I fish the docks as much because I know kind of where they are. I've done this so many times at Lake Fork, and I've told my wife, you let me go 1 weekend a month to Fork, I won't fish the other 3 weekends. That's legit. I don't know if she's going to let me do it, but I fish, but I try to learn new stuff. But I'm starting to dial in. The big bass don't get on the light. The little bass get on the light. The big bass stay to the perimeter. Kind of like a big buck with a feeder. Mm-hmm. You very rarely see a giant buck walk up under a feeder. He eats the edges. He stays to the edges. The big bass break the rules. They don't, like big bucks. You see it on TV all the time. I'm hunting this trail right here. How many times do you ever actually see the buck walk that trail and shoot him on the trail? He never does. He's always on the other side, or he's just walking randomly. He never does it like the little fish. All those lights you'll pull up, or the green lights, or whatever you're fishing, you'll see hundreds of little bass. But if you get caught up on that, you'll never catch a big one. You got
how far outside are you talking
to
about?
the edge of the lights. Just like we are. Just like we are in this room, we got that perimeter where the light just barely shines. That's where they're at.
Right outside that.
They'll come up in there and snake up in there and come back out, but they stay out. They've learned. They've learned to catch the perimeter, and they just sit there and they're lazy. They're lazy fish, and so I've kind of got a system, and the video on this one's going to be as good as the podcast itself, because and I'm going to do my best to explain a lot of this stuff, and so I've got away from throwing spinnerbaits and worms at night. It's not saying that they don't work for some people, but they don't work for me anymore. I mean, I carry them, but I try. I keep trying the same stuff, but they won't touch it. And I think it's because of the congregation of fish to the lights, where I said we used to go down the bank. Mm-hmm. I don't think the fish just randomly position themselves on the bank or on stuff. I think because of the lights, those fish, when they go, they go. I'll give you a good example. We were fishing this weekend, and there were literally hundreds of white bass, hundreds, under a dock. And I told my stepdad we were fishing, and I said, the whole school of white bass just left. I'm talking about a whole school. I watched them on the screen just leave. The screen went almost blank. I told him, the last time I seen him do this, I said, big bass came in. It wasn't just a few minutes. Here come a whole school of big bass. They pushed them out.
Really?
A whole school of big bass. And that's when I caught the 1/8 and the 7 on it, and I lost the 10 on one dock.
Really?
And I caught them on the funniest bait, the smallest one of all of them. And it's because, for some reason, that's what they're chasing up in the lights. They get them up in these lights. And to catch the big ones, you can throw it up in the top portion of the water column, and you will never catch them. You'll have 1,000 fish swamp, but they won't hardly do it. You got to throw it and let it sink. And when it sinks down below that initial level of little fish, that's where your big ones live. They're almost inevitably.
You say that?
Yep. They're almost inevitably below 95% of them. You'll see them just slurking down there. Shark.
Lurking in the shadows.
That's what they do. They go to the very, very, very bottom.
This is heavy.
Yeah, that's what makes it good.
A little bit heavier than I thought it would be.
That's what makes it good.
You felt this?
Yeah. Yeah. It's got a hook in it, so don't try to put it in your pocket.
I was about to walk off with it.
I got some more.
I love how weedless this is.
It uses a little fins.
Yeah.
All right. So, if you do much night fishing?
Not a whole lot. No, it's been, I'm going to say 10 years since I went night fishing.
I kind of got to where I hated dealing with people.
Yeah.
Because the kind of lakes we have in Louisiana, they're just bayous.
Yeah.
I mean, the cutoff started as a bayou. The bonnet, I mean, everything's tiny and small. So you're literally, if you go to a Saturday and there's 12 boats, you're fishing behind 12 people. They're not that long. Mm-hmm. You're fishing a tree that somebody else has fished. What do you fish? Trees. I mean, that's essentially all you fish is trees. And when you go to Fork, which is the most pressured lake in the world, you're fishing the same stuff. So I got to where I was really I said, man, I got to do something different. I can't fish behind all these folks. And I went out night fishing, and it was when the lake was like 7 or 8 foot low, about 3 years ago. And I fished all of my stuff with spinnerbaits, worms. I didn't get a bite. I was so aggravated. I was like, man, this place a gar hole. And I was idling back. The wind was bad. I was idling back, and I looked over to the left, and I said, well, them lights look like they're in the water. And I idled over there. And before I got there, I got about 30 yards away, and I looked in them green lights, and you could see just wolf packs of big bass. I set my line, I pulled my boat in there, set the spot lock, turned the live foot where I could see the screen, walked to the back deck, and caught 50 fish over 5 pounds on one dock. And I tried everything I tried spinner baits, I tried everything, and then I picked up this bait right here. It's a mag draft. It's probably the most thrown one. Does
this one have hooks too?
It's got one at the bottom. But I picked up that, and I pulled it through, and he smoked it.
Really?
And I said, oh, wow. Like, I've got something. And so I started, I was like, wait a minute. With them on the lights, the spinnerbait's made to come fine when they can't see it. You throw that spinnerbait, they're keying on vibration. I said, I got to do something different. The spinnerbait, they can tell us a spinnerbait. Tell us a black spinnerbait. Mm-hmm. So I started really dialing in. I said, I got to get to something that looks like a fish. But, I didn't have but one of these in the boat. I fished that thing I'm talking about, son, it was going back through the water. It was hanging, and this was tore up, and this one's actually beat up. And it was garbage. It wasn't nothing left. I was super gluing it. And I didn't have nothing left. The last fish I caught was over 7, and it was just ripped. Like the harness come out of it and everything.
That's one of the ones you frame something like that.
I got one somewhere. I got it somewhere hanging up. The harness and the bait. It's not together anymore. So I started really dialing. I said, I got it. And then I started getting better with livescope and started going, okay, so I figured out the strike zone is about this big. It probably is 3 to 4 inches big. If you get it 2 foot away from them, they won't hardly bite it. And I think it's because they can see so well. If you can see them, they can see you. I mean, and that's their world. So you've got to come in, and I'm going to use this fine bottle of water. It's actually good water.
Try to crinkle it one time for Richard.
It
won't crinkle.
There we go.
Look, it's tough though.
It's hard.
And that's a $500 mic too that you're barely getting it to crinkle with. That's the sportsman's water, baby. King Springs.
That's right.
Actually, having him on next week.
You want
Dr. Terry King.
You can drink that in the deer stand.
Shoot, you can.
You drink that in the deer stand, and you ain't got to worry about popping that bottle.
Yeah,
That's why
you'll
we
be seeing
carry
that.
it.
That's the whole reason?
It really.
Because you can pop that bottle. You ain't popping that in the deer stand.
No.
That's made in West Monroe.
Don't forget what you were saying. Yeah, Dr. Terry King, heart doctor.
Yeah.
Had all like the inventions and patents
Right.
on heart surgery and all that kind of stuff. Well, we got him on. We're having him on next Friday in a week.
Okay.
He's coming on, and so we're going.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not gonna forget. This is my bass.
Yep.
And you know, for a lot, the more I've learned with livescope, that I've learned that there's two things. It doesn't. Some fish just won't bite. I have taken my bait, pulled it over, and we talked about this maybe in the other episode. Literally climbed it over their back. I have watched it on the livescope climb over the back of a big fish, and he never move. And you'll feel it. And any normal person go, "Oh, he hit it and he missed it." No, he didn't. I'm gonna say this. I think 80% of the time you think when you got a hit and you missed it, I think you hit them. I have found that out. Everybody, "Oh, he hit it and missed it." No, you hit them.
Talking about if you're watching on a graph.
I've learned that from watching livescope that 80% of the time, this is my opinion, it's not, I'm guessing not fact, but I'm saying that when I hit a fish and I go, "Golly, he hit it, missed it." He didn't. You hit him.
Yeah, you run over him.
You run over him. And I've come back, throwed baits like this, and the hooks, whatever, and come back with scales on it where it raked over their back and they never move.
Wow.
They're not, it doesn't matter what they do. They're not in the mood. Big fish, he ain't eating. You come back 3 hours later, he'll be sitting in the same spot, will not move, and throw the bait, and you bring it right over his back, son, he'll jerk your rod out your hand. It's a mood thing. That when they're not in the mood, they're not in the mood. They didn't. So I kind of got to where I was really learning that you had to put it on them. And that's where livescope has come into me. What we've been doing forever is random fishing. You hope you line it up. You were probably in the area of fish, but if you don't get it in that strike zone, if you're too fast, too slow, and so I'm dialing it up. I mean, my stepdad's sitting in the back of the boat, son, and I'm dialed up. I'm trying to get that literally almost feel like I'm raking his back with the bait. I want to feel like I'm doing this. That's what I want to feel like. Because I want it to come past their nose, and then the reaction of it, like it's a reaction strike. Because you know, like you play with a cat or dog, you walk in the room, they won't do it. But you sneak up behind them, do your hand like that, son, they'll jump, they'll bite, they'll slap. You scare them. Dog bite your hand off.
That's why I love punching so much. Punching the mats.
That's fun. But it's a reaction.
Yeah.
And that's a fun deal. I got some tips of that for perspective mode, where I take the perspective mode. I don't want to get out too far off, but it's good stuff. Use perspective. Aim it a little lower. Adjust your beam where it's a little bit lower, where it's under the mats. And you can line them up and take a look at a perspective of a mat, because most mats are floating. And look up under it, see where the fish are, and see how far. And I have sat there and gridded it. Look at it and go, okay, one right there, and grid and catch them. I've done it.
We're gonna have to cut this part of the episode out.
No, we ain't. No, that's good stuff.
No, that is, dude.
That's good stuff. But it's a really valuable tool. So, but here's the thing: you cannot, to catch giant bass, you have to get it's the same thing that happens with livescope. People go out and they use it for 2 hours and they go, "I ain't doing nothing. I'm gonna go back to the bank, throw my spinnerbait," and it never fails. That somebody can throw 8 hours on the bank with a spinnerbait, catch one fish, and they'll be, "Oh, that's good fishing." But go out there for 2 hours and catch nothing and give up. But they'll go 8 hours down the bank with a spinnerbait. Why? You're not giving it a chance. So if you're going to go big fishing, you got to get it out of your brain. I mean, Saturday night, I literally went like 7 hours without a bite. You got to get it in your brain that I'm fishing for bigs. I'm fishing for giant fish. I got to get out of that. I want to catch 100. That's hard for people to do.
Yeah.
It's hard for people to do. So when you talk about swim baits, it's a whole different world now. So whereas there's 40 different kinds of plastic worms, brush hogs, beaver style baits, you got swim baits, you got all the, the little Kitex. Everybody's got 1,000 variations of them, and they say, pick up a swim bait, they pick up one. I don't do that. I truly don't do that. I've caught them. This is a 10-inch mag draft, 10 inches, and I've caught 3-pounders on it. But it catches giants. Big fish.
What's that thing?
Yeah, big fish. It's for real now.
Yeah, you got to have the right kind of rod for that.
Yeah, and so the best thing to do is when you get those, there's specific rods. They have really long handles. I had an episode that I did on my YouTube channel where I talked to a guy he's from Texas. I mean, he's from Texas now, but he came from California. And he built swim baits, the actual swim bait that called Dottie. If you're a bass fisherman, you know who Dottie is. Got the dot on the gill from California, Lake Dixon. That's what he built, that swim bait. But he's got rods specific to each of the baits that he throws, throwing heavy baits. And it's a different world, it's a different mentality, and you got to get into it. And you got to train yourself to think, I'm going to catch a giant. I mean, because you can ask anybody that goes with me. I always tell, if I catch one on the entire trip, I'm happy. That ain't going to work for everybody. That's not going to work for everybody. If we go to a private pond, I don't want to go down the bank and catch 100. I want to catch that one giant. That's hard for you to do. That's hard for most people to do.
That's right.
How did you start? What'd you start? I mean, everybody starts with, I just want to catch a fish. Then you want to catch a lot. Then usually people go to tournaments. They want to catch 5 big ones. Then you get to a point where it's like trophy buck hunting. You'll go all year for one giant buck. Now, I know him. He likes to sneak up in some federal land every now and then and catch some of them big. Kill one of them big ones, don't you?
It's been a while, but yeah.
He likes slinging that. Yeah, he's done some. He slung some areas at some pretty giants. But it's just like the bow hunting. And it's a mentality. You have to let a spike walk. You got to let a 4-point walk if you want to kill the 10-point that's coming later. It's hard for folks to do. It's hard for me to do, especially bow hunting. Son, I'd be so pumped up by the spike.
I shoot Richard too.
Well, he don't really require the antlers. Hey, he's a trophy button buck hunter.
Yeah.
Trophy button buck. He's gonna kill us when he hears this.
Yeah, he'll tell you it ate real good.
Yeah. Though it's hard to pass up on opportunities though. I mean, I've been there, and it doesn't feel like it was that long ago that I just wanted a watermelon red baby brush hog. I wanted to go hit the banks in April, and I've almost got my fix throughout the whole year because you'd go and you catch 100 bass in a day, or 100 bass in 2 days, whatever it was. Go out there in a weekend, and you I'm talking about fill your ice chest up, and you could eat on them all year long is what it felt like in just a couple of days. It's hard to get away from that to go to a screen on the front of your boat that looks like this. It's right here behind us.
I wish I had one
that's
that big.
hard. I know.
That would be
MBT,
awesome.
come on.
I need a bigger boat.
Was it 84, 86 inches?
MBT, can we hook that up? MBT 86. I saw the box over there. 86.
Yeah, I still have the box over there, 86 inches.
That's corner to corner.
Yeah, it's big thing.
Nice.
But it's hard to pass up on those opportunities to go to just get, I guess, untraditional with it to live scope fish because it's hard to. It's hard to do. I've been doing it for 2.5 years, very consistently. And it still throws me kinks. And it's still tough to go out there and do from time to time of reading them and trying to catch big. I'm talking about big fish. You can go out there and catch fish on it. If I'm talking about tournament winning big fish, it could be tough.
You have to. It's just you have to get. I guess it comes as I get a little bit older.
Yeah.
It gets to be a little bit more fun. But at night, I'm gonna tell you something. This happens at night. The plankton come out. So your screen doesn't look like it does in the daytime. It's clouds. It gets cloudy. It's almost like you'll kind of think like, oh man, something messed up my screen because all the plankton come out at night in the water, which is what the shad are feeding on. This is why things get crazy at night. Plankton come out, shad come alive, shad come alive. The brim and the shad and then all of a sudden you got bass that are starting to get active.
Yeah.
So you've got to learn to make some adjustments on your live scope unit. And that's something I want, my normal setup is 60 to 80 feet. Normal setup, 60 to 80 feet during the daytime because you're usually fishing for suspended fish in the daytime. I want to keep mine 8 to 10 feet below the actual bottom, say 18 feet. I'm going to go about 25 to 30.
Yeah.
And then 68 gain. I like my TVG on low, my noise rejection on low, ghost tree, turn that mess off. And then you got some color gain, which is essentially just brightness of your screen, the brightness of the returns. And then you have, which I leave that on about 80. And then you have color limit, which this is where color limit. I'm not a huge fan of color limit. I've never been. It essentially, if you've got 5 shades of something, you take color limit and it limits how many shades of a color are returned. Mm-hmm. This is where it comes in because there's 2 enemies of live scope. One that everybody talks about, which is pollen.
Yep.
Pollen is ridiculous.
Yep.
It's essentially plankton in the daytime. And then you get plankton at night, the photoplankton, whatever they call them. And this is where you use color limit. See, I turn that color limit up to about 60%. It starts filtering out some of those little tiny returns. And then that's how you get your clean screen. You don't have to adjust it a bunch, but if you start trying to adjust all your other settings, then you lose what you're looking for anyway. You lose that detail. I'm telling you right now, I can see the tail on that swim bait. I watch the tail on that swim bait come through on live scope. That's how dialed in. One last adjustment, I start going to like 40 feet. I don't go to 60 to 80. I close in because I am specific target fishing. I'm getting up there, positioning my boat. I take time. I don't just come up and throw on a dock. I don't do that. I take the wind. I position my boat. I position my life. I might take 3 or 4 minutes to get myself right.
Yeah,
because if you make a cast and jack it up, you mess the whole dock up. Because if you get hung up or you wrap it up or you get it where you mess the whole dock. Because when you throw one of these through there, you will draw the entire school off of the dock. You can watch back and watch 20 of them come with it if you're not set up right. And if you draw the whole school off, you draw them, it's over. You go to the next dock or go to the next, whatever you're fishing. You have to take the time. Don't just pull up in there. And that goes for crappie guys. That goes for everybody. Stop rushing your setup. Take your time. Get your boat, because boat positioning is number 1.
Yeah.
You know that. You got to have good boat positioning. And when you rush your setup, especially at night, you are dealing with the biggest bass in the lake. They're in one spot. And if you rush your setup, or let's say you throw a cast while your boat's still moving, it wraps a line, or you throw it and the wind's behind you and you get into the dock, bump the dock, they're gone.
Yep.
I'll take my time. Dock, wind's coming like this, say off of it. I'll go around, line myself up, hit my spot lock, and then I'll use my live foot to position myself. That way I don't have to mess with nothing. Then I'm fishing. That way I can make the accurate cast or skip or whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
But don't rush. I'm telling you, it takes 2 or 3 minutes sometimes to get it just right. And I'm using my remote, and I'll be moving forward 5, over 5, getting it just perfect. It's not, and that's why you catch big ones. But that's the only way. You can randomly catch a big one. You luck up, randomly catch a big one.
Yeah.
But if you want to consistently catch, 16 wasn't as good a numbers as I've had.
Dude, that's strong though, bro.
Oh, yeah.
What would you do for me and you to go tonight and catch 16 at over 4 pounds?
I probably had 35 pounds, best 5, somewhere real close.
We can go try.
Lake Fork ain't that far. Look, me, the wife, and the newborn
What
baby.
time is it? Yeah.
We'll all load up.
We
and
don't
go.
need but 4 hours.
We'll put the car seat in there
4 hours.
to get there. 4 hours
4
to
hours
fish.
to get there. 4 hours to get there, we'll be ready.
4 hours to get there. 4 hours to fish.
Oh, wait a minute, 4 hours to fish? If I'm going, I'm staying. I'm staying. But you got to take your time and position correctly. That means getting your electronics set up right, getting the setup on the boat right. You need to have your rods ready.
Yeah.
You don't need to have a crowded deck. That's why I fish alone a lot. It's because I'll have my other rods sitting in the back. I probably go through 3 or 4 bait rotation. And I say 3 or 4 baits. I'm like, you got big glides, this, I'm throwing weedless. So I've got a selection up there, but I don't go crazy. I'm going to put 10. You put 10 rods on the deck, you're going to end up 3 of them broke.
Yeah.
You cannot do it. You got to be really dialed in. I started on Thursday with 10 different baits, different styles. By the time I got to Saturday, I had this and a version of one of these. When it's on the rod over there, a version of one of those. That was it. I had 2 rods, but I had dialed it in. Just like practice, I had started dialing it in, and that's when you do it. You want to take 2 or 3 days, and then you get to the point you're just working on them.
Yeah.
And I caught 43-pound stringer like 3 days before Christmas. It was my Christmas present, right? It was my Christmas present. That's what my wife probably not gonna listen to this, but she's awesome. She lets me go do this stuff. And he saw my wife one day when I was going to Fort, because that's the first thing they do when they go in a Mexican restaurant, get them some Mexican food.
Yep.
Headed to Fiesta Linda.
That's exactly where they go when I'm gone. The whole family loads up, goes, and I'm by myself on the lake fishing. You can always tell if I'm going to Fork, because they go on to Fiesta Linda's. But she watched. I mean, come on, 4 days is a long time for somebody to go on a fishing trip.
Yeah.
And there ain't much signal over there, so you can only really talk on the lake. So, but it's fun. I want people to do it, but it's so hard to talk somebody into it. I mean, my stepdad went. He said, "We're going after big fish." By the end of the trip, he's chunking the spinnerbait. Trying to catch some whites. It works on your brain. It does. It really, really works on your brain.
Yeah, it'd be a different story if he was up there. He knew how to use that live scope, and he was up there using it.
Well, if it's by itself, it's a different story. But you can't. I mean, even Michael, he knows how to use it. He could do it.
Yeah.
I could show him how to do it or tell him what I'm doing, and he could go do it. We do it together. He probably throw me off the boat by the end of the night. Like, get out of the way.
Yeah.
I can't hardly let them big girls go. I like them fat girls. And she'd be laid up under there, and this is fish, people. This is fish. I'm telling you, she laid up under that dock. I can't take it. Golly. But here's the thing. These are about $16 a piece. I think I lost. I hope she don't watch this. There's $80 of them laying in the bottom of Lake Fork. You're skipping them, which is not like skipping a jig. These things, it's like skipping a football.
Yeah.
And when they hit a wave, especially as windy as it was, you can have the perfect skip, and then hit the wrong wave, and it'll literally shoot straight to the top. And it gets caught under the ramp, under the dock. Mm-hmm. You have the most perfect skip, and you'll hear it, and you're like, oh. And you can't reach it. It's 30 feet under there.
Break her off.
Oh, and you're like, I just put that on. I mean, I have tied them on, skip one time up under there, lost it, and tie another one on. And it can be tough. So it's not for the faint of heart. That's another thing to do it. I mean, we're talking, I don't know how much we're talking here. This is actually one I made. I make these. You want some of them? I got a bunch of them. I make them.
I don't know. You ain't picked this one up yet. He's been picking up all the ones he's catching at fish
on. I fished them. I've caught them on them. That's a 6-inch. I catch them on them.
You made this, really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you glue the eyes in?
They got a bunch of them that you buy them in a pack.
Yeah.
Hand pour them and stuff. I got a bunch of them. I fished with them a bunch. Like, you can make them with the hook slots. Like, this one has a hook slot, so it's made to be fished with a weedless. Mm-hmm. But you can make it solid where it can be made to be fished with a jig head. But I fished, you lose a lot. And you got to be prepared to lose a lot. That messes with people. You lose a brush hog, you lost $1.
Yeah, 50 cents.
You lost a
10
hook.
10 of them in a $5 pack.
You lost a hook in a weight.
Yeah.
You lose this, you lost $16. And you lose over a 3-4 day trip, you lose $100 worth of baits.
Yeah.
So I brought all these. There's $100. There's one right there on that rod, and that caught the one that was almost 8, and I had 3 of them, and I lost 2 of them. And they're $16. I lost them, but you cannot fish scared.
Yeah.
And also another thing, I've tried braid. I've tried it.
Don't cut it.
They will bite braid in certain situations, like on A-rigs, because the A-rig comes through the water. It looks like a hubcap
Yeah.
coming through the water.
It's quick and it's rolling. Yeah.
No, it's a hubcap. I mean,
Yeah.
if they look at the line and don't bite that, God,
Yeah.
we're in trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
But these, they're slow. They're wobbling. They're moving slow. They're studying. That's why you get so many followers. It doesn't take much to turn them off. So I'm using 20-pound fluorocarbon or 20-pound.
I was expecting to say like 12 or 15
No.
fluoro.
Yeah.
No, not there.
Not with that heavy of a bait.
Not this heavy a bait. Not that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm using 20. I don't use 12.
What? I thought you were going to say like they were super finicky and you were having
No,
to
but
like really
here's the thing. I will say
teeter
this.
totter that line.
I am big on scent when I'm throwing these baits because they bump it or you bump them a lot. And if they taste the plastic, and it's got a plastic smell. If you don't have the scent on it, and I just use the scent to cover, I don't think the scent makes them bite it. But I think if they hit it and it doesn't have a fish, they won't bite it again. But if you bump them or if you bump and you get them and they've got that, and I use bait fuel because it seems to stay on, and I take the bait fuel and like put it up in here.
Yeah.
Put it up in the caverns of them. If you take the bait fuel and put it on, it just gives it, if there's a little bit of doubt or if they're trailing it, it does have that little scent trail,
Yeah.
and then they might commit. I've had fish follow it for 30 feet and just all of a sudden go poof, and get it. They follow. I think they catch the scent. I think it's something that they. But you try fishing one, you'll catch one without scent. But if you bump them or something, they'll never bite it. You can throw at them the rest of the night.
Use that. Do you use that on all your baits, or are you talking about just swim baits?
Mostly just swim baits and glide baits.
Yeah, it's like if you're fishing summertime, real big worms way out deep. You put any
I don't
kind
know
of
where you're gonna put it. I mean, it falls off of it so fast.
Okay.
They
So it's
got
not like
injected, but I just use it for this type deal because
Gotcha.
it's got like this one's got a little pocket in here.
right.
You put it inside there.
Yeah.
It's not gonna stay long.
Every few casts,
every
maybe?
10 or 15 casts, you put it on. Just put a drop on there. I got it laid on the front deck.
Yeah,
Put every 10 or 15 casts, put it on there, and it's just something.
yeah,
If it don't do nothing, make your brain work. But I think it's got a plastic smell. All of them do.
yeah.
That don't smell right. That's their world. And I've caught enough big bass at Fork to know. And I want to go somewhere else. I really do. I want to go to some of these other lakes and try it. But golly,
Shoot, when you're catching 35 plus pound bags and you're catching 16 fish and only 2 of them are under 5,
right?
Yeah.
it's
Right,
hard
man.
to get away from that.
But it's so much fun, but it's so aggravating at times. Yeah, I mean, I've got some videos. I think I've showed you some of the videos of them just following the bait.
Oh yeah,
And it'd be 10 or 15 of them and they're giants. They're mega giants. They just follow the bait. And you're like, bite it. and you throw and you throw and you throw. And then your guard drops.
Yeah.
And one of them smacks it. You got to stay focused.
Yeah.
This ain't no, and you can't see nothing. But I got the green light, so that helps. But it's some crazy stuff happens. There's some crazy sounds happens at night.
yeah. Same thing happens in a deer stand. You get up in that
Oh,
lock
yeah.
on and it's cold and it's you get in there at 1 or 2 o'clock that evening.
Right.
About 3 or 4 o'clock, a couple hours goes by. You seen a woodpecker and a black squirrel. You thinking about sending an arrow at. You're like, let me just get my phone out real quick. And you get that phone out. Next thing you know, you kind of feel like somebody's looking at you. Look over. It's a big slick head. She's just eyeballing you. And then
If you blow, she
over.
got to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
yeah, she blows, she goes.
She blows, she goes.
Mm.
I made the mistake one time. This is totally off. Remember when Blair Witch come out? Blair Witch Project. You remember that? That's,
He's
you
too young.
You don't know. You don't know. You're a filmmaker and you don't know what Blair Witch is. A bunch of college kids got together for a project in college. Okay, and they made this horror film called The Blair Witch Project. And it was like a bunch of home videos where they went out in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
look, I made the huge mistake of watching this one night about 1 o'clock in the morning. before I was going deer hunting.
Worst thing you could have done.
Son, you ain't never seen somebody come out. I come out the truck, son. It's like a full blown sprint. I climbed that tree, son, that whole morning. I was like, come on, daylight. You start hearing stuff.
Look, I don't do scary movies. You watch scary movies?
If you ever watched Blair Witch?
No, yeah,
you don't see nothing in
it.
it. You don't see a single bad thing. There's no witch, but
No,
it's
I
just a
was
bunch of
talking
home
about
videos.
That's right.
But son, that's what I'm saying. You go out at nighttime, you hear some of the craziest stuff.
Yeah.
It's just it's a different world out there, but I love it.
Different animals come out to play.
But that's
right.
where the big fish roam.
Yeah.
And it's not like deer. If you could deer hunt at night, God, I'd probably do it anyway. I would. If I could deer hunt at night, I mean, there was a law that said you could do it. I'd have me some green lights and I'd be going to town, boy. Shoot, you can imagine Richard out there after them
Some of them big button heads.
big button heads. Son.
Be getting after it. So speaking of green light, you took that. Me and Michael, we just got the 360
That's right.
camera. So you took mine.
Yeah, I didn't use it.
What?
I didn't use the 360 camera.
Why?
Well, it's filming. Filming is not a two-man thing.
Oh, you had your stepdad with you.
Yeah, and I got a little cautious because, like I said, he's a little clumsy.
Yeah.
I love him to death. But I'm telling you, he can fall. He falls like baby. He falls like a baby.
You don't want that
About
$500
11,
setup.
just 11 or 12
$450
steps.
setup.
Dude, he falls down the boat all the time.
Get some floaties
He's
on
so
it.
clumsy. And I love him. He said, but I said, you're the clumsiest dude I ever met in my life. Golly. And I just thought, man, I'm going to set this camera up. He's going to fall and break it off, and it's going to go to the bottom. And I've got to tell, great footage. It's in the bottom.
It's still recording.
Yeah,
You know,
still
it's
recording.
right now.
Still has a battery pack
That was
on and
actually a
everything.
really nice case on it. And I said, no. I put it up, and I set it up, and about 10 minutes into the trip, I was like, not happening.
Yeah. The light though.
Now, the light is legit.
So it's a Lume Cube. It's one of the ones we use for filming some other projects when we need. If we don't need something quite like this or that over there, like this light, if you don't need anything big,
Yeah.
it's the size. I mean, it's
about
literally the size of your phone.
Size of your phone. Okay.
Yep. And has a little hot foot on the bottom or like a little quarter-inch.
I put mine on a little bitty ram mount with a magnet.
Yeah.
And stuck it to my fish finder mount at my console.
Ah, okay.
Did it run all night for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it on about 10%. That's all you need. You can
No, it's
choose
bright.
green, red, blue, or something.
Yes.
And it was
360 different colors.
It is. It's legit. It was, and I'm gonna film because I'm gonna film some with the 360 camera. But what I need to do is put the light toward the back of the boat
Yeah.
and put the camera in front of it. That way, it comes in behind. You know, comes over the top. And I can't do that because somebody was on the back deck. And I
Yeah.
said he'll kick his 360 camera off. And I had to come up with a great story to tell Nolan about this. This is
Now
not.
we need to get together. Talking about getting your boat set up and getting in position, everything.
Right.
If you're going to try to get some pictures, as you know, dude, your boat is freaking rigged out to the gills, ready to go with the GoPros, the action cameras, the Insta360s, like whatever you want. Like your mounts are ready. You got your cables. I mean, you got power management. He's got all this stuff ready to go.
It don't work.
What?
His boat.
Oh,
No,
you're
we're back working.
Are we back working?
We're back
yeah.
working.
Before we started, I was finishing setting
No,
up. and I
Mickey
know you-
Mouse went fishing in his boat while he was out. Decided to eat up about half the
Is that really what
I
happened?
had to go back and see Connor. Yeah.
That's what happened to Mouse?
Eat
Dang
about
it,
6
boy.
cores.
Yes.
Oh, no.
It's a good thing he didn't eat the transducer cable.
Dude, no joke.
That's legit. You don't want to eat that thing.
But having your mounts on, if you're wanting to film,
Yeah.
you need to get a camera that you know.
Yeah.
You need to get lights that you know. You need to get good quality stuff. I'm not
I'm
saying.
gonna try your stuff, but like on my other boat, I had them set up on the motor,
Yeah.
and then I got to where I was carrying I have a Ryobi ice chest. Mm-hmm. It's the baddest ice chest you ever put in your life. It runs off drill batteries.
Yeah.
And it has a little plug. So I just put a camera mount on it and plugged it up to my ice chest. My ice chest, 30 degrees, it was right there.
Yeah.
And so I put the camera right there and you could move it around and it was stable. And so that's how I did a lot of the recording
Yeah.
because you just put your GoPro right on the thing.
Yeah. But having that stuff ready to go is
you gotta have
good.
it ready.
But dude, that light though. So
Light's
I'm
legit.
big. You can go and you can get. You don't have to spend several $100s on a nice GoPro or. I I strongly recommend if you're going to go and you're going to get into filming, if you want just a standard action cam, go with DJI. You'd be better off, this is just my opinion, you'd be better off with a DJI Osmo Action 1, which is the first generation. You'd be better off with a used Action 1, don't go with the Action 2s, or an Action 3, go with the Action 3, or even the 4s. They're like $300. They're not that bad. But go with the DJI Action 4 if you can for a standard, or the Insta360, one of the X models. We have the X3.
Yes.
And they just came out with like an X4. Yeah. And it's great and all, but for most people, you don't need that. But the lights, you can get by with a cheaper camera, but a light,
Lights, where it's at.
Man, I mean, you saw it, you ran it on 10%, and like, dude,
it saved my whole trip because my boat was not completely set up for the night trips yet.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have any lights. And I mean, I even as much as I night, I'm stumbling everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place.
Are you running that light the whole time though? That green light?
I turn it on the whole time.
Yeah. And
I've got it rigged now. I'm finished. I got back and got them all rigged up. But I use these little small LEDs, bought them off Amazon for like $10 for 10 of them.
Yeah.
And I put them on the side, just lighting up. Then I got one on my actual mount, my fish finder mount up front where I have my MBT. And I have it pointed down where you can see the foot pedal on the trolling motor. Because you will stumble and hit every button on that thing. You need to be able to see your trolling motor pedal. So none of the lights actually shine in my face, but they light up the floor. And then I have up under the rub rails, I got 16-foot on each side green LED strips.
Yeah.
That's the key. Yeah. I've caught a couple of different 5 or 6 pounders swimming beside the boat. Just look down.
You're talking about on the exterior of the boat.
I thought you were talking about the inside. No, on the outside of the rub rail, because it does like that. It lights up, but you can't see it. Yeah. So but it's got to be green. Yeah. The white, the green's away. I've caught a couple 5 or 6 pounders. Just look down. They're just swimming beside the boat with the shad. Just drop a bait down beside it. They'll eat it every time. They just be swimming. I'm talking about you be going. You look down there and big and swimming right there beside you. He's just following the green light. That's kind of how I got the hint to start looking for green lights, is when I put them on there because I wanted to see at night. Yeah. I was like, it don't matter what. That boat became a boat dock. Yeah. To him, he was just looking for, because the shad, you look down, there'll be schools of shad following you. Yeah. And you'll hear them all the time. A bass come up, you'll hear this right here. You're like, what the heck? He come up, hit the side of your boat, hitting shad. Really? They do it all the time. That's when I figured
we've got to get in some of this night fishing.
Yeah. Me and you's going? We're doing these.
Yeah, so we're talking about that Majestic tournament. Mm-hmm. So they haven't officially, I texted Greg Hicks about the date. He said June 1st. I don't think they've officially, is it Dale Taylor? Is that his name?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think that they've officially put the date out, but I think they're generally pretty late to doing them. It's kind of like a last minute kind of deal for them of like posting stuff about it. Right. But June 1st is what he said. And so that's why I told him, I was like, dude, why don't we try to go out there and catch some of these night fish? We're talking about a night fishing episode. Why don't we try to go and do, because it's a 24-hour tournament.
Yeah, it's like, what, 6 or 7 in the morning?
Yeah, it's like 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. Sunday morning. Now, I think it's like to maybe 9 a.m. Sunday morning. So it's really over 24. It's maybe like 26 or 28 hours. If it's 9 a.m., I get that it's 27 hours. But it's somewhere like that. But so last year, me and Nick fished it. We did pretty good during the day, and it never won any hours, but we had some pretty good fish, and we were very close on multiple different slots, like time slots. But dude, the night on Darbone, I mean, it's like that blue cycle all over there. It's like that's green. You can see it just across the lake. You'll just see these huge green monster lights just scattered out everywhere. There will be lines of boats an hour before dark. Instead of going and really hammering that last hour before dark, there'll be people lined up at different lights, especially the main ones, getting ready to fish them. We got to fish. Actually, we did. We got to fish one green light at like 1 or 2.
At dark.
Talking about right at dark, you know? Well, I'm talking about they're getting ready for it to be dark, and they're going to sit on the light. And those boats, they sit on those lights all night.
Darbone's a little bit different. It's smaller. Yeah. Well, there's hundreds and hundreds of docks. Yeah. I'd fish Darbone a little bit different at night. I got some different stuff.
Well, wait till after June 1st, and we'll let everybody know how we want it.
Yeah, well, we hope we'll win some big ones. Make one a couple hours. It'll be fun. But it's a little different. You can fish some different spots out there. Yeah. There's some different things you can do. The black spinnerbait still play over there.
Does it?
Because you're not fishing. A lot of areas don't have the boat ramps.
Yeah.
A lot of areas don't have the boat docks. There's some areas that just don't have them, and you catch them up there. Wherever you catch them in the daytime, they're there at night. They're there somewhere.
I'm ready.
Fun. It'd be real fun.
You gonna get Richard on the back? Y'all come over there?
Golly,
Yeah, we'll have to see what we can figure out.
He'll have to get after. Tell him we're not there for buck bass.
That's right.
Little buck bass. little bitty nubbin buck bass.
Look, they eat though, man.
Hey, shoot, they eat.
Dude, talk about eating. They just got back from Grenada.
Yeah, I saw his trip. Now, see, he's out there. He's doing it. It's pretty awesome.
He's on them. And son of a gun, he still don't have a boat.
I don't get it.
We were talking about it today. He's getting closer.
What's he waiting on? You know what he's doing, huh? He knows that when you get a boat, hunting. I'm telling you,
yeah, you can slow down when you're hunting.
A couple months a year, you can fish 12.
Yeah,
and you start thinking about it, man. I be dreaming about it.
Well, that's like me with Kansas. I mean, when I first started doing stuff with y'all, I mean, especially when I got that saddle, dude. I'm telling you, it was annoying how much I was going to Arkansas, like Felsenthal, and other refuges, and even like the farm or different places, driving distance around here. I bow hunted. That's all I did. Right. Every freaking chance I got, I went somewhere. And I started fishing, and I started fishing a little bit more, and I got a boat, and I started really diving into it. And for the most part, I go out of state on those big trips. I'll kill a couple of does around the house, and that's it. If I got free time, I don't care if it's November. I'm going fishing.
I can't help it. I like to hook the boat up.
It's fun.
Go, man.
It's exciting.
I like to go, and I would rather go when it's so cold you can't breathe.
Yeah.
That's when the fishing is the best. They're cold-blooded animals.
Talking about the best in just the wintertime or best throughout the 12 months?
When it's cold. The colder it is, the better it is. For catching giant bass. They're cold-blooded. They don't move much. But if a bait comes by their face, they will eat. And guess where they go? The same spots. The same spots. That's where using your electronics and then using a little bit of some of that stuff. Perspective mode. I'll tell you how valuable perspective mode is. I was on a lesson. I was doing a lesson with a guy at Lake Fork, and I was trying. There's a brim bed that's there every year. It's in the same spot, and I was showing him the brim bed, and we pulled up, and it looks like a World War II minefield, like they done dropped a bunch of bombs. It's beautiful. And I told him, I said, there's a giant bass on there. It's 43-degree water temperature. 43 degrees, 2 foot deep. I said, there's a giant bass sitting in the middle of that brim bed right now. He's just sitting there. He said, what? I said, throw your bait over there. He said, I don't want to mess it up. I was like, throw it over there. We literally picked up a bait, sat down, hit the spot lock. That bass ain't never moved. 43-degree water.
Did you see it with your eyes or just on the screen?
No, I see him on the screen.
Yeah.
And he was on a brim bed. And I sat there, we tied on a swim bait, I threw it over and caught him 7-pounder. In the middle of a class.
You did or he did?
I did.
He wouldn't do it?
He wouldn't throw it. He would not throw it. But that's where perspective's good. We've talked about it. He's using it to find beds, fish on beds. Now, are you seeing the actual bed? Or are you just seeing 2 fish down there working?
Yeah, more fish moving around.
When you
Seen
get
a lot on logs lately.
Yeah. Okay, so when you get on flat seawalls and things like that, you can legitimately see the bed. You can legitimately see the bed. If I'm going down the lake, and I have to, as a whole, if I'm just going down the banks, I will literally mark every brim bed I come to, because I'm gonna tell you, it don't matter where the lights are, what the daytime, if you catch a big bass, he'll be within a few feet of a brim bed. I am 100% convinced that this right here is the forage of a big bass more than shad ever thought about being, unless it's gizzard shad, or blue heron in some lakes. But a brim, I have caught so many, and you'll put them in the live well to take pictures, where you can get some cool pictures. Come up there, and there'll be 4, 5, 6 of these spit up in the bottom of your live well. They eat brim. So if you see a brim bed, that's one of the things. You don't have to see the fish, but if you see a brim bed, mark it, mark it, mark it. And you'll notice as you go to marking them and you're fishing later on, you can catch a fish. Look at your map. You'll be within a few feet of a brim bed you've already marked. Big bass stay around brim beds. They eat them. That's why these work so good. That's why that brim color bait works so good.
Yeah.
Because they eat these. I mean, they're good to me too.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah.
But that's why they eat them.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the shad is, but this is a brim. This is a brim color bait.
Yeah.
That's what that is. I mean, shad are a big part of their diet. But to me, the giant bass, those 7, 8, 9, 10 pounders, seem to eat brim more than they eat shad.
That's what Wheeler said about the farm. He said that you just go and you start catching some brim. I was like, oh, you can catch brim easy. Like, oh, you throw a red hook, just like everybody says. You just throw a dang red hook out there.
Right.
I'm telling you, you'll catch as many and as big and smaller brim as you want. It's like that's why the fish are so healthy. He's like,
Big bass eat brim.
It's loaded. That farm lake is loaded.
If you want to have a, it's got to have big brim. I mean, Caney's got chinky pin.
Yeah.
What do they got? Giant bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, they eat shad. I mean, I eat hot dogs. I eat hot dogs. But I'm going to tell you what I prefer? I prefer a steak.
Absolutely.
So I'll eat a hot dog every day of the week, put me some relish on it and go to town. But if it comes down to it and I'm really hungry, I'm going to go eat a steak. That is a steak. Next time you catch a big bass, I challenge put it in your live well. Don't kill it. Put it in your live well. If it 90% of the time you'll look back and he'll spit one of these up in the bottom. They'll regurgitate them all the time. Matter of fact, the guy from 316 in my video talked about how he got some tubing and I have to go back and see what he said, that he was learning about what they ate, and you could stick it down their throat. He had developed something he could stick down their throat and turn them upside down and shake them, and all the food would come out, and that's how he developed his colors. That's how he developed the colors of these things like this. But look at that beautiful orange belly. And it's got the purple sides. Now, this is a photo printed of a brim. They take a photo and print it. This is one he made. They're very close.
Is that 316? Both of those baits?
316. It's 316 bait.
Yeah.
This one's not. This is a I thought Savage one. This is Mega Bass. I got all different brands.
Yeah.
But these 316, that's what he does. But because if you go and look at his stuff, some of his biggest ones are big brim. That's where the giants eat. If you're up under those lights, you don't see a lot of shad running around.
Right.
You see this right here. And that's what comes, because they're eating the plankton and they're eating the algae. And the shad do too. I'm sure they probably, but that's what the bass are eating. And their son, when he hits one of them, go up under, just find any light, anywhere you go, and sit up under there and watch one of them little jokers swim through there, son. Son looked like a shark coming out. Son, I've watched them at Enterprise run brim. Matter of fact, I think I got it on video. I just was videoing and I pulled up and it was still running, and watched a bass run a brim up. At brim, he jumped up on the bank to get away. And my stepdad threw him back in the water and he got eaten. I sure did. He threw him back in the water and he got eaten. I said, what'd you do that for? He was sitting there waiting. He knew it. He swam. He said, he know he's up there. He's got to come back.
He was going to die anyway.
Yeah.
He was, but they eat these. Everybody wants those spinnerbaits. But I had someone that told me one time that a pumpkin, and I don't know anybody ever throws these. And I have. Biggest stringer I ever caught on Darbones, over 22 pounds, 5 fish, throwing a pumpkin seed chatterbait. Pumpkin seed is one color, Bubba. It's about the bottom of that right there.
Yeah.
Pumpkin seed is about throwing it was a pumpkin seed chatterbait. But he told me, he said, the pumpkin seed spinnerbait, nobody throws it. It's the best spinnerbait you'll ever throw in your life for big fish. They eat brim. You got to learn to change mindset if you want to catch a big one. Don't throw a shad all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a gizzard shad. I mean,
Yeah.
plus you had to lift weights before you throw that thing. That's a gizzard shad. But like to me, I think that's a California hitch. That's a little different world there, but like that one, look at that. I mean, it's essentially a brim. Mm-hmm. That's what that is. I mean, those are brim, and that's where you catch the big ones. I challenge you to do that. Find your pond, like your grandpa's pond. Don't go throw it. Just pick up a brim bait, just this. Throw it all day, and watch the size of your fish go up. The biggest one will go after him. You ain't gonna get as many bites now. You're not going to catch 40. You might have catch by 5, but all of a sudden you got a 30-pound stringer. And you're like, where'd that come from?
That's kind of what we were saying. I think all three of us are at the point that, don't get me wrong, it's fun going out there and smashing them, doing the old school stuff with spinner baits, or burning the banks up with that watermelon red baby brush hog. But I like catching big fish.
Ask yourself this though: what's watermelon red?
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, what? I don't know. Talking about what color
What
fish?
is a watermelon red? Look at a watermelon red from a distance and watch a brush hog swim down. That is a brim.
That dark green like that?
Chartreuse.
Yeah, but I'm saying you put watermelon, you dip the
Little
tail.
chartreuse.
What are you doing? You're impersonating. It's a brush hog. It's this color. It's watermelon red, which is pretty much orangish. Put a little chartreuse tip on it. You got a brim. That's what it is. Throw a white brush hog. See how many you catch. Throw a watermelon red brush hog.
Yeah.
It's a brim. People don't put it together. People do not put that part of it together. But I did it from paying attention what spit up in the live well.
Yeah.
You started doing it. Now, like I said, you're not going to catch as many. You're not going to do that. There's no way. There's no way in the world you're going to catch that. But to catch giants, that's what you do. Lake Fork, a couple years ago, what were they fishing? Brim beds. That's what they were out there fishing in deep water. Brim, 8, 10 foot of water. They're fishing on brim beds. And that's what you do. I've got some great footage of live scopes where you can see the brim, the beds, see the little dots, each brim. You see the brim in all the holes, and you watch. Slinking through there, coming back, looking for easy meals, big bass. Because once the brims start bedding, which is very soon.
Oh, it's May now.
Yeah, so it's usually when the dogwoods bloom, because that usually matches up to the time of the year. So when you start seeing dogwoods bloom, the brim are going to the beds. The bass have come off the beds. They're pretty much out of their post-spawn funk, which is stupid. I hate the post-spawn funk. You know it. Sometimes catch big ones, but they come out there and they're sick. They're kind of sick. They're just sitting there a lot of times. Then they start feeding back up. And what does that usually coincide with? The brim on the beds. Where are they at? By the hundreds. Why does a frog work good? Frog don't look like a frog. Frog looks like what? Something slimming across the top of the water. To me, it looks like a brim.
Yeah.
You throw an orange or yellow belly. I throw like a little orangish yellow belly. It's a brim. Black. That's what it looks like. I think a lot of people think frog. That ain't no frog.
That's what I've always thought. When I throw a frog, I think I'm fishing a frog.
When you're walking it, what's it look like? What's a brim look like when it's dead on top of the water?
It definitely
What's
doesn't
it do
look
when
like
it's on top of the water?
When you're walking them.
It does
Frogs
this.
don't do that.
No.
But what does it look like?
Yeah,
a fish dying on top. Have you ever watched a brim swim on top of water? They'll do that. That's exactly what it looks like. A brim. I'm telling you, I think that 90% of everybody's trying to imitate shad or something. That's what they're eating. That's just my personal opinion. And I've caught a lot of big bass to back it up. And I'm going to catch some more. We're going to catch some more.
Shoot, I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm trying to get in this pond.
You got a long way to go.
What I got to do?
No, I'm joking.
What I got
Dude,
to do?
I'm ready to go. Look, Lamar. So we have I think I've probably talked about it way too many times. Everybody's listening. They're like, we are tired of hearing you talk about that. We don't get to go fish out there. We don't want to hear about it. But my father-in-law, their farm, it's like a 55 acre. Have you haven't even
I've
been
never
out?
been. I've heard of it too.
Look, you'll get there.
I've known Mr. Lamar for a long time too.
And look, if he ain't there by now,
No, yeah.
I'll never get there.
Let me it don't take much to get there. Y'all are all way past being there. It's the point of finding time to go. I haven't been out there in forever, but I was talking to Lamar, and I was like, dude, I'm ready to go. I said, I keep my truck backed over in front of my boat. I'm just chomping at the bit, ready to go. I'm waiting and just trying to find some time, which the few times I've had time in the last month or two, it's been raining. So I haven't been able to go. Well, these roads out there, they're the color of this table. And yes, I'm telling you, that buckshot out there, you will tear something up. What up, girl? You will tear something up really, really quick. So I was talking to him on the phone. I was like, man, I'm ready to go out there. Like, I'm chomping the bit. As soon as it dries up a little bit, he said, well, I went out there and tore my transmission up in my new F-250. I said, what? He's like, well, I got stuck. Miss Rondo was the first one that kind of told me about it, but he got stuck out there, was rocking back and forth, and
Really?
tore transmission up in it. So with that being said, we still got a little while before we're able to get out there.
Good sunshine and wind.
Tough.
I'm good.
Yeah,
to
it'll
go.
dry it up quick. It's tough to
Yeah.
get out there, but no, we've absolutely
We
got
take
it.
the big scooter out there.
It'd be tough to get it in there, I think.
I showed y'all the video. Wheeler and Connell, they put their boats in there,
That's right.
and I'm telling you, son,
They don't pay for their boats.
it don't. Let me tell you
This is
something.
true.
They would have fixed it trying to get out of there. They'd have done something because you're in the middle of nowhere, and it's sketchy. Even my 18-foot Express.
They catch them in there.
Oh, it was
They caught them.
that was stupid.
They put video on their YouTube with it.
Yeah, they're still recirculating. So that video you said you called me the other day, you're like, dude, I thought that was you on Dustin's
Yes.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
I
Did
was
it
like,
not sound like you? Did you hear this
I
video?
haven't watched it. I don't know which
How
which
long
one.
ago?
Connell just put one out not too long.
2
just
weeks, 3 weeks ago.
a week or two ago. And I'm telling you, I watched 25 minutes of the video. I said, that's Nolan. This dude is he's doing some stuff on side he ain't told us about.
Well,
He's
you can
holding
see
out
him in the
on us.
background in that, this is what, last year or the year
Yeah, but
before?
I said I thought he was holding out on us. Like he's hanging out with Dustin Connell, and he ain't telling none of. He just every now, oh yeah, I've met him. He's fully filming for him, and he ain't telling us because we're going to be serious consequences here, man.
Well, and that one wasn't me, but they're still. I mean, they'll post some of their clips, like some of their baits, some of the prototype stuff.
Yeah.
And anyhow, matter of fact, another guy hit me up with Rapala. They're wanting to go out there, but it's way too freaking wet.
Yeah.
And even right now, it's too wet. So
I want to. I won't take. Y'all got to go, man. I got a house that's a half a mile from the ramp. I got a buddy of mine lets me use private ramp. We literally gonna put the boat in and troll 25 yards to a.
Start fishing.
Oh, there's a dock right there 25 yards. That's where I catch.
Get in a
I've
kayak
caught,
and
I've
smack
caught some
'em.
big. You get on a kayak out there and find out how fast that thing goes to the bottom.
what? So how far? Where is Fork? Where's that?
Long view, kind of long viewish.
Oh, okay.
It's not that far.
No.
It's about 4. From here, it's about 4 hours
To Longview? Is it that
to
far?
Lake Fork.
Or to Lake Fork?
Yeah, Longview's about 3 probably.
Yeah, I mean
My
it's a
parents
little bit
live out
past
there, and
Longview.
Yeah.
It's about 45 minutes, I
His
think,
dad
for
used to
Daddy
be a
to get to
skeeter boat
Longview.
guy.
Oh, yeah. He's a man. Still is a man.
He's retired now.
Yeah.
I met him. He made a couple of my boats.
Yeah.
Made the boat I'm in right now,
Yeah.
and another one.
That's right.
You have a fun project you're working on.
Right. I bought a boat, 2004, 2005 Skeeter. I'm a Skeeter guy, and I sold it. Bought a ZX 200, sold it to a guy, and then I bought it back from the guy. Had to do a little bit of renovation on it, like the old house. It kind of sat in a barn for a few years, but I just about got it back. I got to put some carpet on it, put some new carpet, just normal 20 years, and a little bit of buff job.
Getting her slicked back up.
And she already done had. I done broke her back
You have
in.
it. You have it out there with you now.
No,
I
not
figure you'd
yet.
be dragging
no,
that thing
I'm
everywhere.
putting a new hydraulic steering in it.
No.
So that's a boat project. It's gonna be pretty good.
I'm ready.
I'm gonna tell you what. I forgot how good it fished, but I also forgot what I'm not a dual console guy,
Yeah.
and it's got a dual console, and either I've got wider at the hips. I don't remember having this much trouble walking through the two consoles when I had it the first time I squeezed through there. I was like, good Lord.
Kind of have to shimmy sideways.
Yeah, it's like I told her they've moved these consoles. Ain't
Yeah.
no doubt he moved them because I walked through there and I was like, oh, like tight. I sat down to tie on a bait and I was like, I'm definitely getting wider.
Hit that old slim fast up,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. So now when I tie baits, I done figured out. I said I forgot. I used to sit in the middle seat. So now I turn around and sit in the middle where the middle seat is.
A little more comfortable anyway.
Yeah, because you got a little bit of room back there, and then plus nowadays you got spot lock.
Yeah.
I remember this. The best stringer I ever caught. Show you how great it was. It's on Darbone. It was a storm. I want to say May. I went up and down this ridge 2 or 3 times, 0 bites. And then the storm came. And I'm telling you, it was a storm. And it was blowing current over it. And I was throwing that chatterbait to shut. We didn't have spot lock. So every time I'd catch a fish, I'd catch it, weigh it, put a coil tag on it. The wind was so bad, I had to crank the big motor up and drive back to the spot.
Man.
And the last fish I caught was over 6. I can remember catching it, coiling, and saying, "The heck with this, I'm gone." I went and sat on the trailer at 7:45 and sat there. I left the boat sitting in the water, sat in the truck for 8 hours.
Jeez.
Just had the live wells on. Wasn't nothing I could do. I wasn't finna upgrade that.
Yeah.
It was 23-pound stringer. I would rock that tournament. It was a storm, so I said, they ain't never.
Did you win it?
Yeah, like by 14 pounds or something crazy.
You still liking your boat?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. What else have you done to it since I've seen it last? Anything?
No. Just had to, get it doctored on again from my little buddy. That was this week. Had a
You had
a little mouse.
too?
No.
Oh, no. Mickey climbed in there.
Yeah.
Was it getting into Connor? Was he pretty backed up?
Well, he was backed up, but he got me in there now.
Yeah.
I mean, I dropped it off Wednesday morning, picked it up Wednesday evening.
He knows the guy.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Do you know this cat, Connor
No.
Nimrod? That dude's a freaking dog.
I heard the name.
Dude,
Yeah.
he is as good of a fisherman as he is
What's
boat
his
electronic
business?
Tournament technologies.
Okay, I
West
know.
Monroe.
Yep, I follow him on. Maybe I saw him on Instagram.
He's
Yeah. He's Instagram, Facebook.
he'll rig a boat up as good as it will go catching a fish, and he can catch a fish good.
Yeah.
He's solid all the way around. Super good dude too.
That's the thing. We don't have a lot in this area. A lot of riggers to do
There
right.
there are a few. I don't know them personally. Definitely not going to call them out, but everyone that I've talked to, if anybody has something to say good about somebody,
He's the guy.
he's the one they say something good about.
You can rig a lot of stuff, but you can mess some stuff up too.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest thing, dude. You're talking about spending all that kind of money. Connor was telling me that this guy, I don't remember exactly the story, but he tried to do some stuff himself and ended up burning some stuff up. And I think it was Connor that told me that. Anyhow, whoever it was with Connor and them, whether it was Connor or JK or one of them told me on that podcast to do with him. But dude ended up burning his stuff up, and he had to go back and reorder some stuff again. They were able to repair some of it, but reorder some stuff, and then he just paid again to do it. I'm like, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Do it
And
the
he had
do it
everything
the
I
first
needed
time.
in stock.
Yeah.
It was 5 or 6 wires that got chewed on.
Yeah.
He had it in stock. And back
Did
that
you,
evening.
you find it or he find it?
I found it on the water. My
You
stuff
found where
wouldn't work.
you found where the mouse got into it on the water?
Yeah.
I bet that was aggravating.
Here's the
yeah.
problem though. I don't live a couple 100 yards from him. I hope that mouse don't make
I
its way
shoot,
my
yeah.
way. Through his backyard is my backyard, so
Just about it. Yep.
we not very far.
Yeah, he packed his lunch and sent him your address. He said,
Best
go across the
not.
pasture.
He best not. Come on, I don't need.
Well,
It's just woods.
I messed up and didn't put my cover on for about a little over a week. And I usually cover it, and I didn't. So,
Yeah.
You have it covered, though. Like you keep it in your garage?
Looks
Or,
like
well, it's off to
sport
the
goods
side
store.
Yeah.
of my shop.
yeah.
But it's
Looks
got
like
a roof
sport
over it.
goods store up in there when you pull up
Yeah.
in his yard. I went up in his yard the other day and dropped a mount off to him, and I was like, God, there's duck boats, there's bass boats, there's four-wheelers. I was like, good gracious.
Kids.
And a couple of tack dogs over there too, son. I put that thing, I was like, I got to go. I got to go, man. That thing.
Talking about dogs, the bad ones in the house.
Yeah.
And it ain't talking about my wife or anything. It's that
see.
little dog in there is rough.
You see that?
A little small one. He had to clarify.
Yeah.
You see that? He had to clarify. My anniversary was Wednesday. And so I know what he's talking
Yeah, I
about.
saw them paintings y'all did. Man, they were glorious.
Yeah.
Mine.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it looks like she's looking out the side of her head. I said, y'all missed the point. You got to turn it sideways because that's where she always looking at me. Like, that's the
ready
way
to
she
scold
looks
you.
at me. Yeah, she drew me. I said, man, I got so much. First of all, my ears are giant. They look this big on the picture. And I said, I don't have that much hair on my ears. You have to see them. They're great.
No, I've seen them. I've laughed
Did you
at
see
it.
the
Yeah.
hair on my ears?
I've laughed at I'm going to post it
Now
up
the
on here.
beard, the beard and everything looked good. Now she did pretty good because she put the gray and everything in there. That was looking pretty good. But I said the ears. I said there's a head full of hair on my ears.
I thought she'd have you holding a fish or.
no, it was
holding
just a
them blue.
head. But she did a lot better than me painting. And here's the thing: I was not trying to be funny. I was trying, legitimately trying to do good.
That's the sad part.
I don't know. I got to be easier than her though. She's like you messed
She's
me up.
way prettier than you are.
Yeah, That's way out of my league.
Yeah.
I get up every morning like, thank goodness I fooled her again. I
Yep.
fooled her for 5 straight years now.
You got to do it for 5 more. You do it for 5 more, we'll be getting somewhere.
I asked her dad. I said 5 years. He said, well, the official return date's gone and past. You can't bring her back.
Can't bring.
I can't. Well, I've already told her if she leaves me, we packing up and going together.
Yeah,
Because
you
wherever
going
you
with
go,
her.
I'm going. I don't know where you go.
Tracking her down.
Yeah, we're just going together. She leaves, I'm going with her. Pack the bags. Let's go. Where we going?
Well, we got the range day tomorrow.
Yep.
What time
Yeah.
you gonna be there in the morning?
I'm
What
gonna
is y'all's
open the
plan
store
tomorrow?
in the morning, so I'll be there at 7:30. So
I'll probably leave the house at 7:30.
yeah,
So
Tell me about the range day. I saw the advertisement for it.
we're going at the Caldwell Parish Rifle Range. We'll have guns, suppressors, pistols. I mean, everything else.
Joe said I think we're doing a shotgun, bringing a shotgun
I
suppressor.
think so. Yep.
They have a shotgun suppressor.
Yeah, I shot it too. It's legit. I
legit?
shot it with duck load. See, I shot it with 3-inch BBs or 3-inch 2-shot. Yeah, it's bad.
What about the wait time suppressors? They're
It's
a
getting
lot better now.
A lot better.
A lot better. It was a while. It was
over a year.
over a year.
Yeah. But now we've gotten, like they call it a single shot trust. I'm getting them back in 7 to 10 days.
That's
So
wild.
not bad at all.
And it's not. You're not getting everyone back like that, are you? Or is it
It's
most?
been more than
Really?
lately. Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Now we still got some guys that you start talking about, coming in that quick and they're hanging out with us, and you look over at them, their lips poked out because they've been waiting for 6 months.
Yeah,
But so that still happens.
that's just the name of the game, though. Son.
right.
It's not a
tell
guarantee.
me about
but
this. When I think suppressor, let me get right here. I think suppressor. You think like the movies.
with
It's
300
not-
blackout or a 22, maybe.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
let's say you're shooting a 9mm. What is it in comparison to? Is it like a 22 now?
a quieter 22.
Yeah, I mean you don't have to have any hearing protection. I mean it quietens it down enough.
It's
you don't
down,
have
so
to
you don't
it.
have to have hearing protection.
That's right.
So you're below what is it? 80 something decimals that you
No, that's
But
less
I'm talking
than
about
that.
we're talking
Yeah, I
about where
can't
hearing
remember.
protection's required.
Yeah, I don't remember. No, it's less than that, though.
But it's less than that. So
Yeah.
it's way down there.
Yep.
But it's not movie suppression.
Oh,
Today, Jacob Richard's son, he had one of his guns at the store today and shot it. It was a bolt action 300 blackout with subsonic with a can on it, and there's pellet rifles that make more noise than that gun did.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You'll hear the firing pin. Is it that little short one, like that Savage or whatever that one is?
Oh, I don't
Not
remember which
Savage.
gun it was, but it had the collapsible
Yeah,
stock.
yeah.
He
Well,
put a
we
new
shot
scope
that.
and everything on it, so.
Nathan has one like that.
Yes, he
Yeah,
does.
yep.
Absolutely.
So you'll hear the firing pin click.
Oh, that's quiet enough. As bad a shot as I am with a gun, I'm gonna need you to. I might need that.
Yeah. Problem is like, especially hunting on like a 300 blackout, like he's talking about.
Yeah.
Shoot hogs. I mean, there's people that kill deer with it for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
100
not-
yards and in, it's
Yeah,
pretty
but,
bad.
Yeah, you're not slinging it like a 300 Win Mag at
No.
400 or 500 yards, which most people aren't doing that anyways.
Right.
But you have a lot less powder, which is going to get that.
That's pretty legit.
That's
subsonic
probably
range.
around 1,000 feet per second or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
900
I
to
don't-
1,000,
900 to
something like that.
1,000.
I did
Yeah.
not need to get my wife that. She probably to put a cap in my leg.
No.
And I wouldn't even be able to hear it either.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. She, baby, what happened? Your leg's bleeding. I don't know. It just started hurting.
Blame Michael.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have that tomorrow. It's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be
I'm looking forward to
awesome.
see who all shows up to it.
I think it'll be.
I think it's gonna be a
it'll be
good
good.
crowd.
We've had quite a few phone calls about it. so-
Yeah, it's. I think it's gonna be.
That's legit.
I think it's gonna be really good. We did a. It's gonna be fun. I think we're gonna bring the podcast. I'm gonna have to break all this stuff down, and I'm gonna take it out there with us. I think we'll do like a little live podcast and do
You ain't
something out
putting it
there.
in the
just for-
Tesla.
Yeah, I am too,
You ain't putting all this in the Tesla.
dude. I'll make all this fit plus some.
The Tesla's legit.
I've seen the outside.
Man, I
I'll
saw
let y'all-
the inside. That thing's got one of them screens like that in the inside. He don't let.
You got to
special
pull
people-
up, and you can't run over his gas cord though.
Yeah.
Pull it up, and you got an extension cord pulled out 100 feet.
What happens
over
when
here.
what happens when a
Are you
mouse
talking
bites
about
that?
out there
ra-
now? That's
Yeah.
a water hose out there now.
Oh, that's water hose?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happens when you have the mouse chew those wires?
Yeah, you're in a bind.
Son, you're in a major
bind.
bind.
That
Let's-
mouse is in a major bind because he finna.
I hope he'll get burned up to a crisp. Hopefully that won't happen.
So anybody like Mike? You got any questions about some of the stuff? It's pretty awesome. I'm telling you, this is legit stuff.
Yeah, well,
This is. I want to say it that this one is made by a guy down on the other side of Caney, and he makes these. I mean, it's a glide bait.
Yeah.
This is a different deal than a than a
That's
swim
hard.
bait.
Is it got
It's
a
hard.
soft texture. No.
It's hard. This is a glide bait. Although they're big bass baits, this is more of a visual, open water. It's more of a daytime type deal. You crash and burn on that one more than you will a regular swim bait.
Yeah.
You will crash and burn on these. They're hard days that I throw them all day and never get a bite.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to choose your poison.
Yeah.
But I want to try it. I want to try it in the pond. I want to see just how big you can get something in the pond and try it.
Craig, my buddy, he was fishing. It was a soft plastic. It wasn't a swim bait. It was a soft plastic. And I say it wasn't a swim bait. It was a very, very big, like a normal size brush hog.
Yeah.
Like the standard, not the babies, but the
just a regular
standard.
brush
Just
hog.
regular brush hog.
hogs.
It was probably twice the size of that. And like in diameter, not quite in length, but definitely in diameter. It was just a big tube. Looked like that thing right there with some fins and stuff coming off of it. And he caught a 10.5 out there last year, the year before with it, out of his kayak too.
Really?
And we don't get to go. Yeah. And we don't get to go.
Dude, y'all have an open invite anytime you want.
I've
I
heard
just
this
have to
open
go.
invite. Here's the thing with this open invite, okay? Let's be honest. I sent him some messages. What you doing? Oh, I got this. What you doing? Like, it's week after week. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say anymore.
He is about the busiest one person.
Oh, he's the
I know.
busiest guy. And plus, I mean, he's acting like he just had a baby or something.
I know, two weeks ago.
He act like he just had a baby.
I keep trying not to look at my phone.
Yeah.
I'm sure my wife's like, "Hey, y'all love you, babe, but y'all about wrapped up."
Hey, we wrap it up. I mean, because we don't really spill this one, but I'm very excited about this one. But I'm excited about the guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when he told me this about like him using my settings and how it done this, and like he was, he's not finding people that are alive.
Yeah.
He's finding like this
Cadavers.
is closures.
Yeah.
I mean, it's closure to a lot of folks.
Yeah.
People have been missing for 6, 8, 10 months, and go down there and find the cars and find them actually sitting in the cars.
Really?
That's
That's
a
wild.
horrible thing, but I would want to know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's doing,
And he's done a
doing good stuff.
deed. We're trying to figure out how we're going to get him. Me and you've talked
Yeah.
about this. We're gonna figure out a way to get him some
Yeah.
way, whether we do video or something, some kind of we may.
Yeah.
We got this TV. It would be pretty awesome. We might get him up on there
dude,
somehow.
you know what I'm thinking about right now?
Right.
This will be our 10th episode.
Really?
Yeah. I was thinking,
Yeah.
I was like, man, we for our 10th episode, we ought to do something special and like get him on. But shoot, this is the 10th episode.
This is it.
Thank y'all for staying tuned with us for 10.
That's
and
right.
this is only the beginning.
It's
We've
gonna be awesome.
we've had it closed off. We have several different companies and people ready to sponsor, and we've started with those conversations. But we're kind of filtering through them all and really figuring out which ones we want to do, and we want to have like the right partners with this, because like the numbers, I mean, as you've seen, you posted only one to yours, and you saw it. Like the numbers are really, really good, especially getting you on.
Yeah.
Like
I
this
appreciate
is
it. This is fun.
Like this is good. But and so we are partnering up with Garmin Guru. I love how we're an hour and a half in, and we're saying
an
this
hour and a
now.
half?
Hour and 26 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Trandy here, he is coming on, and this will be like an extension of his Garmin Guru stuff. So when he gets on a podcast, not that you can't do other podcasts and stuff like that, but like this is the Spotted Dog podcast will be his main podcast home, and this is where he's going to come, and we're going to get together and have fun, and I'm excited about it.
We've got lots of plans.
We
We've
do.
got
We
some
have
stuff that we're going to
Yeah.
really might change how we do some podcasts.
Yeah.
Some really cool instructional type podcasts where we
even like on the water kind of stuff.
take
and-
it out of the studio.
Yeah.
Me and you get on the water and go through some of those settings and techniques, but instead of talking about it, doing it.
Yeah.
Really showing it and
Yeah.
really breaking it down and putting it all together. It's going to be some cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's like this one here. Some of those videos, you can get them to me. We'll go and overlay some of the videos on top of some of this as we're
Yeah.
talking about it.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. So, well,
Send
guys.
you some of these big bass. These big bass from this last trip. I have to really get in there because some of the pictures, they don't take as well at night. You have to kind of really.
Yeah, people know what they're.
Yeah.
People halfway know what they're looking at there. They know it's a big fish.
Well, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch. I probably got 40 or so good pictures from the last few months. 40 or so.
Make a dang slideshow out of it.
Giants. So it's some big ones. Matter of fact, I posted a video of one where it shows the process you have to go through to do a Share Lunker.
Yeah.
God, Louisiana has got to get with the program.
Yep.
Let me tell you what they gave me for that. I entered 2 last month in one night. And I didn't know about this program till I got to the Elite Series, and they had a guy there. They have 4 different classes, 8, a 10, a 13 out of the spawning season, and then a 13 in the spawning season. The only time they actually take the fish is during the 13 during the spawning season. I think it's January to like March, April, somewhere in that area. Other than that, they don't take the fish. You have to weigh it on a digital scale and have a picture taken. You have to measure it on a scale, on a ruler, get an accurate measurement with a picture. I do a video because, like, one of the ones they didn't like what they saw, so they asked me to send them a video. So I want to video everything for all the proof that they want you.
Yeah.
When you do it, they send you what they call a catch box.
Yeah.
It had a hat, a towel, 6 or 7 bags of baits, a couple crankbaits, spinner baits. It had, I'm telling you, it's $70 worth of baits. And they sent you 2 envelopes to go with it. So what you do is you take 3 scales off of the fish. You dry them, wrap them in a paper towel, put them in this envelope, and mail it to them. And they'll send you a free reel for doing this. It's a lose reel. But what they do is they take these scales and they test the DNA in them to see if they match any of the 13-pound Share Lunkers, because that's how they do their stocking. That's where they get their fingerlings from, is they take these 13-pounders, they spawn them out, and then they put them in all over. That's how they stock the lakes.
Yeah.
So they're stocked from giant genetics already. So when they do it, they check the genetics against one of those 13-pounders and see if the stocking program is working. That's how they.
Do you know anybody from that program?
No,
that would be awesome. Getting somebody on.
Just the lady I've talked to. Now I know she's over there near Lake Fork. She'll call me because she'll send me an email when they accept this one that I put in the other day.
Yeah.
And she usually call me or text message you or email you saying it's a pending or they need more information. And it would be awesome because the work that they do, being able to take a scale.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about that.
And check to see if it came from a 13-pounder from OHIV or another lake and see these stocking programs working.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a joke. Texas grows. We got Bussy Break. It's in the new lake category right now.
Yeah.
Once it hits about year 5, we don't have the management practices. We don't have the slot limits. We don't have, it's a very, very small lake that gets absolutely hammered.
Yeah.
Once it gets to about year 5, that's when they go down. It doesn't matter who it is. Lake Fork, OHIV, Sam Rayburn, Toledo Bend.
All of them.
There's a new lake syndrome. That's why flooding, the water goes down, and then when it floods, that's why you see the new lake syndrome. The water goes way down, shoreline grass grows, the moss dries up, shoreline grass grows, water comes back up. It's like a new lake. And it lasts about 5 years. And then once a lake of that size, 2,200 acres, 2,500 acres, it's getting hammered. Because it may be 2,500 acres. It fishes about 150.
Yeah.
And then once that wears off, Louisiana doesn't have the programs. We don't have it. There's nothing on Caney Lake to sustain that. You can catch a 7-pounder and walk out the door. The fish I caught this weekend, 813. I couldn't have kept it if I wanted to. It was in the slot. Had to let it go.
Yeah.
Guaranteed fact. The 943 in the slot. Had to let it go. The 883 in the slot. Had to let it go.
We need to get somebody on.
Those are not keepable fish.
We need to get somebody on from Louisiana that can speak on some of that and get them on. Let's talk about it and see.
Well, I know some game wardens. Game wardens. One of my best friends is a game warden.
I'd like to get people and they have some the biologists, the people making the decisions, not necessarily the enforcers.
I got this.
But the ones that they're the ones that sign the dotted line to put things into place, like slot limits and stuff like that. I would love to see some people who vote on that and come up with that.
Yeah.
Well, pick their brains on
we had
stuff.
one on Caney at one time. Was it 15 to 19 for? It was 15 to 19.
So.
Yeah,
I think so.
And that's a baby slot.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about every 8-pounder you catch. Now, because I've seen several on Bussy. The guy caught a giant Put it in the ice chest. It's his right.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's his
knocking his right. I
Yeah.
don't. But in order to grow giants consistently, not a year or two, but in order to consistently grow giants, you got to put an 8-pounder back.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give her time to spawn. You can't say, and it's their right. I'm not knocking anybody's right. I don't care if it's legal and they want to fillet it, do so. But in the same, you can't come back 3 years later and say, we never catch 7-pounders. We never catch 8-pounders. We
Yeah,
never
that's
catch
why.
9-pounders because they've been filleted.
Yeah.
There's only a certain percentage, and that's just where wildlife biology would be awesome. There's only a certain percentage of big bass, that are going to grow to be big bass.
Yeah.
But if you had 100, I don't know the percentage, but every one of them doesn't have the genetics to be a 10-pounder.
Right.
They're going to stun at 6, 7, 5, die. They got disease. I heard Steve Kennedy on a podcast say that 50% of the fish in the lake perish over the year, but either being eaten, dying of old age, and you think, man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And if you taking out the giants, you're taking out the breeding population.
Yeah.
Those are the ones they won't. There's a reason Texas takes 13-pounders, because it takes a special fish to get to 13.
Yeah.
There's not that many. I
Very
don't know the
few.
exact number. Probably ain't 20, 15 or 20 maximum, if there's that many, caught in Texas. Those are special fish. And we don't have that here. Yeah, we have some 10-pounders, 11 right now coming out of Bussy with the occasional. Those are the initial fish they put in. Lake Fork is 40 years old and still
pumping them
jamming
out.
them out.
Right.
It is the crown jewel of their lake. And now they got a boat arc, which
Just open.
and they're jacking them out. You cannot keep a single fish over 16 inches. Am I right?
I think so.
No fish over 16 inches can be kept. They're protecting it.
That's what needs to happen, though.
Yeah, so let's get a wildlife biologist. It would be amazing.
Yeah. And there's Michael McVeigh, perfect one, but he's on the waterfowl, like more of the
And he would know
I-
who to
land
get
and
a hold
sky.
to.
But yeah,
That would
getting
be
him, talking to
amazing
him.
To get in there and talk about that.
I'll touch base with Michael. I'll call him here in a bit and just touch base with him and try to see if he knows someone. I think Slade, he talked like he knew.
There's a
There's
lady
a
that
lady-
came in the store.
Yeah.
And I think she's over this area.
Yeah,
I
so-
mean, I've seen her at Bussy before.
Yeah,
doing
getting her on
surveys.
If y'all know of anyone, I don't care what lake or what state they're from, but send a message to Spotted Dog Sporting Goods on Facebook or Instagram, or spotteddogpodcast@gmail.com. Send an email there.
Hit me up.
Yeah, hit up
me up.
Hit up
It's my
Garmin
mind.
Garmin
Yeah.
Guru. Send all whatever you want him. You're incredible at,
I try.
you're
I get
really
hundreds
responsive.
of messages, but I try to answer them. And so when we want to talk. We
Yeah, I
want
do
to talk to
too.
these wildlife biologists and see what the holdup. I mean, it's not me just stating, "Oh, Texas is great."
Right.
It's facts.
Yeah.
It's facts.
Yeah.
I mean, they had an elite series over there. Call it forward facing sauna or whatever you want to call it. The top 10 were over 100 pounds. The top 10. Every one of them broke the century mark. Call it whatever you want to call it. That's what the top guy have? 132
Yeah, he wasn't far off like the
all time. 130
Yeah.
pounds. That's
wild.
35, 34 pounds. That's unreal. There's a reason they're doing it, because they're going to other lakes using forward facing. They ain't jacking 130, and the top 10 guys ain't having 100 pounds. The proof is in the pudding. So how do we get there? If we want to catch giant bass in Louisiana, we have smaller waters. I get it, but we have Toledo Bend, we have Caddo, we have Caney Lake, we have Darbone. We do have some lakes. Darbone, I mean, they've got one of the top 15 bass.
Yep.
And they have great stringers, but we have no management on that lake.
Yeah.
But it's also a mindset
Yep.
about the way things are going, the way people fish in this lake. And
Same thing with that 3.5-year-old 8-point, or 2.5-year-old 6-point.
It's a
70
mindset.
inches. That's mindset
It's
on it all.
definitely a mindset, but it can happen with the proper management tools and getting those slot limits in place.
Yeah.
And I think it can happen. Darbone's got the ability to grow giants. Caney dishes out giants, but it's so small. You need some management there. If you go to, let's just say hypothetically, you go to Fork, people don't dare I've never kept a fish there in my entire life, a bass. I've never kept a bass. Ever. I've never done it. I'm not even sure I think I put some in the live well because we take them to the weigh-in at the owners tournament.
Yeah.
That is it. I've never kept one, but I don't know a single person that's ever kept one either. Even a giant. I don't even think of catching it. It's catch, do the little video, put it back in the water.
Back in the water.
Because that's the mentality. Because you think of catching them.
Well, you're going on vacation over there too. Like when people go to places like that, they are going on vacation. That's a destination place. Like you're going there you're not going to keep fish.
This is a destination place right now.
Right now, yes.
Yes,
But
right now.
you know what? They still keep them.
Yeah.
They're rolling 7, 8, 9 pounders out of that lake all the time.
Yeah.
They're putting them in an ice chest and going. There's nothing there to stop them. There's a 24-inch slot limit in place. You might be surprised.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
Sounds
right.
good, bud.
Let's roll.
Let's do it. That was a great episode.
That was good. Thank y'all for coming on.
Yeah.
All right. Thank y'all for listening. Make sure to check out Spotted Dog Sporting Goods for all of your hunting, fishing, outdoor, Garmin electronic needs, all that stuff. And we got some cool stuff happening. I'm excited for the future. I'm glad you're a part of it. Glad you're part of the
This is
family.
awesome.
You've been a part of the family, but I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's like an official thing, like a little partnership. I'm looking forward to
I'm
it.
excited.
right.
It'll be fun.
I'm excited. We have a lot of stuff planned.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. So,
We have a lot of stuff planned. We're gonna break it down too. We got some stuff now we can do with this screen back here.
oh yeah, we'll be able to do some screen sharing and all that kind of
Well,
stuff.
we can do
on
some
it.
stuff with the electronics.
Yeah.
We can really do some breakdown in-depth classes. We're gonna do some on the water stuff.
Yeah.
Got some life-saving stuff. It's a lot of good stuff coming.
Let's roll, baby.
Yep, that's it, man. That was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Michael,
man.
it's the first one you come on.
Yep. First one I've been on.
The owner of it all, and finally bribed you to come on. Had to talk about some
twist my
fishing.
Is he the dog in Spotted Dog, or is he the spotted part?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. We hope he's the dog. If he's spotted, that ain't
Well,
good.
hey, look,
Not
when
at all.
when Richard sees the first part of his video, I might not be on no more.
Yeah. Getting rid of it all.
We talking about that big giant buck he killed. That
Rich-
buck, you know what that buck scored? 3/4 of an inch.
Dang.
That was a nice one. 3/4.
You go, baby. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. We got to break it down. We got the range day tomorrow, so I got
That's
to
right.
take all this stuff, and so I'm glad you're here to help me unload it or load everything up.
Huh?
Let's. They say you break it up on me.
Wait a minute.
Bye, y'all. Thank you for listening.
See y'all.